TMC Newsroom. My name's Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching. We're coming to you today from the Gaylord National Hotel just outside of Washington, D.C. On our program today is Craig Montgomery. He's the Senior VP of Marketing and Business Development for SkyBitz. Craig, how are you?
Good. And yourself?
Doing great. Thanks for being on our program today. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So please tell me a little bit about your company.
SkyBitz was formed in mid-90s, about 1995, from a DARPA grant, which you're probably familiar with from the DoD relationships there. We became commercially available in 2002. We specifically focus on asset tracking and remote asset visibility and control of unpowered assets. When we came out in 2002, we focused predominantly in the private sector, the trucking space. We currently have 30%, a little bit over 30% market share in the space, which it would be defined as trailer tracking in the trucking sector. Our two closest competitors would be Qualcomm and the previously owned ID systems from GE, but we have the largest market share in the space.
It's very exciting, and I would imagine that more and more companies are looking to track their assets just because you would think that the pricing on the technology continues to fall, right? Absolutely.
When you compare it to in-cab specifically, which you often hear about with the trucking sector, it's dramatically cheaper. You know, you're talking about in-cab solutions that are in the thousands of dollars, and the trailer tracking solution, for example, ours, at a list price of about $440. I think the big difference also is now with the economy, there's a lot of focus on getting more out of less, being more efficient with your assets. That's causing COOs and CEOs and CFOs to really look at how they optimize their fleets. You can't really do that if you're not tracking your fleets and know where they're at.
You have to be able to measure it to manage it, right?
That's correct.
So that's great. So is the traditional Moore's Law paradigm of technology, pricing, and power applying to asset tracking?
I don't know if it's to the specific T of Moore's Law in the sense of that doubling effect.
Sure.
But I think what you have seen is a precipitous drop in the pricing of the product and a factorial impact and an increase in the ability to handle messaging with very, very low power. Our solution is slightly different than a lot of the others out in the marketplace. We don't run on GPS. We run on what's called GLS, or Global Locating System. Our devices don't have a GPS chipset in them at all. We actually use our proprietary IP to take only pieces of information from the satellite infrastructure, not the whole latitude and longitude, and we actually solve for position back at our servers. What that really means is the device is not a power hog.
Oh.
So in that instance, from a Moore's Law perspective, we actually let faster than that. Our devices can run for 3 to 5 years without any power on 8 AA batteries.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you say your servers, so does that mean that there's some sort of uploading taking place as well of this, right? There is.
When you look at our technology, the GLS technology, it's a two-way or a dual mode technology. Okay. So it doesn't necessarily restrict you to just have visibility, but actually it's visibility or remote and control. Mm-hmm. And when the communication happens between the device and the satellite infrastructure, that information is then coming back down to our servers instantaneously. We're solving for that position, and then we're actually displaying all that information for users in our web application. It's a SaaS application, no software, no downloading. So it's as fast or faster than GPS, but you don't need power.
And how often does the image change, or does the asset move on the screen? Like how often do you update? How many minutes?
Well, that's a good question. We actually leave that in the hands of the user themselves. We have typically 2 types of platforms for messaging on our satellite solution. To digress for a second, we have a lot more solutions than just satellite. We have one-way satellite, two-way satellite, as well as GSM. On the product we're talking about, what we basically do is we allow our customers to determine it. They can either have what we call dedicated reporting, where they say, I would like a fixed set of reports during the day, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Or they do what's called our smart sensor tracking, which is the popular way to track assets. And what that allows you to do is you manage by exception. So traditionally GPS, you're always pinging it. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And a lot of times you're getting information back that's not very useful.
Right.
With smart sensor tracking, it's really built on exceptions. So the person who's on the controls, whether it be the distribution manager or the dispatch manager, is really saying, let me know when the trailer goes outside this geofence area. Let me know when a door sensor happens. Let me know when this happens. It's event driven. So now you're managing by exception. You're making smarter decisions. You don't die a death of data, which, as we know, is a danger sometimes.
It's also battery, right? Are we talking about battery? You're talking about power?
Bingo.
You're talking about heat? I mean, there's all the downsides of constantly having to
Bingo.
communicate.
So we just wake up when we've got to send a message. We instantaneously send that message, and we go back to sleep. That allows us to be extremely efficient in the device. So again, if you're sitting around managing a fleet of tractor trailers, and you've got 2 to 3 trailers for every tractor, that's a lot of devices you're going to put out there. And you don't want a device that you have to touch every 6 months to replace the battery, because that impacts your operating expenditures.
Sure.
It's even more interesting when you start getting into the world of M2M, like we spoke about. Think about remote unpowered things like large generators from Caterpillar, or skid steers or backhoes from Bobcat. Often those things are left remotely on construction sites. You don't know where they are. You don't want to be pinging that every 5 minutes. You want to know, is it stolen?
Right.
Has it left the yard?
Right.
And you can do that. So that's the whole management by exception. And plus, now you leave that device on that piece of equipment for 3 to 5 years. You don't have to touch it. It's very efficient.
That's a great design.
We're excited.
Very
excited.
smart, really novel way of doing things. So what's next for the company?
Well, we've just recently signed a deal with Iridium. Our existing two-way GLS communications platform is with SkyTerra, but that's North American focused. And we've always looked at it that we had half the equation really necessary to dominate specific markets internationally, and that was the power consumption. And one very interesting market is container tracking. Not only from the private sector, where are my goods, because they're going from a truck to a train, from a train to a boat, back onto a truck again in some other country, but also from a defense perspective and a homeland security perspective. What we lacked was the global coverage. As you know, with Iridium, we now have pole-to-pole coverage. Our product will be available probably in the first half of the year. I would say probably late Q1, early Q2. This product will have access to all the global markets that Iridium has access to.
I should say 2011 then, right?
Excuse me, 2011,
right?
yeah.
Just in case someone sees this video later.
Yes, 2011. And the exciting thing about this is that we're basically doing 2 very specific things with Iridium. The first is what you would expect, which is we're taking our existing device, which is the Gemini Series GLS 400, and we're replicating that for the Iridium platform. But the device is actually going to be about 2/3 the size of the existing device today, so smaller. That will be an off-the-shelf service that we'll be able to sell to the marketplace and extend our existing verticals, so trucking, intermodal, rail, and whatnot. We'll also be able to expand into new verticals, the government sector, so DoD, Ministry of Defense over in the UK, etc., as well as construction, heavy equipment, and traditional M2M. The second thing we're doing is that it's a very interesting thing. We actually created this solution with Iridium on the modem level, meaning we've put our IP together with an API with a custom modem. So Iridium just launched their 9602 modem, brand new modem. We actually have worked with them to create what's called the 9602 SB, or SkyBitz modem. That modem will actually enable us to sell the modem itself plus our IP to other people who want to manufacture their own devices. So now we're going to be selling on an OEM level to people to manufacture their own device and license our IP, further extending our ability to provide solutions to the M2M market.
Awesome.
Excited.
Really. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the program. I'm looking forward to inviting you back again in the future.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.